to my channel TechnoMonk. Okay, and sorry for the pause. Okay, I have not created video from 2 weeks because I was thoroughly looking into the ServiceNow GlideQuery API. So today, I will try to explain you what exactly the ServiceNow GlideQuery API is. It came into Paris release, but not familiar to most of the developers. People are not using that extensively. So today we'll deep dive into this API. I will not be able to complete the entire tutorial for this into one segment. So this is the basic one, and the other one will be the advanced ones. Okay. So what exactly is a glide query? Okay. So imagine you are a chef. Okay. And glide record is a cooking. Uh, is like a cooking with a dull old knife. It works, but it's slow, dangerous, and might cut yourself without knowing it. So GlideQuery is a brand new, sharp, professional chef knife, faster to use, safer, and it tells you immediately if something goes wrong. So we can say GlideQuery is a modern JavaScript API for querying the ServiceNow database. G- don't be afraid, okay? Because GlideQuery is a wrapper over GlideRecord, okay? So it doesn't replace it; it makes it safer and more expressive. It works in both global and scoped application and is available on every ServiceNow instance running Paris or later. Okay, so it's pretty. Uh, a lot of release has passed on. Okay, but people are still not using that extensively. But I really like this API, so we'll just go into the depth of it. So why? First and the foremost thing which must be buzzing in everyone's mind is like why glide query? The problem. What are the problem with glide record? Because everyone knows glide record. So let's look at the real world horror story with GlideRecord. So let me take one example. Okay. So for an instance, if we take this, okay. So over here, can you spot the bug out there? Okay. So here we have made a typo mistake. Okay. It's activated, not equal to true. There is nothing called activated. It's active, right? So expected output when we are using or writing the script is like, okay, it should delete only inactive users. Okay. But what happens at actual, okay, it will delete every user in the table. Okay. So glide record silently ignores the typos and run the query without filtering, meaning delete multiples runs on all record. And this is one of the thing. Okay. Now why glide record is a mess? Let me show you one more example. Okay. Why we will not cover all the examples, okay, because um I don't want to create this video like why glide record is bad. Okay, we will focus on glide query itself. Okay, but let's take one more example. So when we work with the glide record, okay, uh look at this code. It's gr glide record. We are querying the sys user table, querying with the name able. We are looking for able to query da, da, da. What is gr dot first name? If we output it out, it will be able. Okay, but if we try to compare it, okay, triple equal to, if we try to compare it with able, it will return false. Why? Because when we do gr dot first name, it's object, not string. Let's try it out. So if I run this out, you can see the output is able from line number 7. In line number 8, we try to compare with the same able. Okay, I just copied it from here and pasted it over here, but it's false. Why? Because it's an object. So because gr.firstname is a Java glide element object, not a JavaScript string. This causes doubles bug in comparison, okay, like JSON serialization and conditional logic. So this is one of the other issue. What happens with the glide record? There are tons of it, okay, like typo in field names, okay, invalid choice names, okay, wrong value type. Okay, so whatever I'm mentioning, GlideRecord is better on this particular terms. Okay, it may be return type, string comparison, syntax style. Okay, because in syntax style it's verbose while loop. Okay, but in GlideQuery we can have fluent chainable methods. Okay, aggregate query is the same thing. Performance is slightly faster on the GlideRecord. Okay, but being a developer we are more focused on the way we code, right? Okay, so perform, but this GlideQuery makes it more readable. Okay, the code. So let's get into the glide query. So what exactly the glide query works on three core principles. Okay. First principle is like it failed fast. It catches mistake before they become bug. Okay. So GlideQuery validate field name, choice values, and data types before executing the query. It uses a special error type called nice error. Okay, that gives you a readable, detailed error message with a proper stack trace. The second principle is native JavaScript. Okay, the most important. So welcomes JavaScript developer to the Now platform with an inviting API. Okay, so every value returned by Glide query is a pure JavaScript object, not a Java object. Okay, JavaScript object. So strings are strings, booleans are booleans, numbers are numbers. No more Java wrapper object. And the third is it gives you a liberty to be more expressive. Okay, we can do more with the less code. So glide query uses a fluent chainable interface. Okay, you chain method together like sentence. Okay, the code almost reads like English. Okay, so it makes it more readable also. So let's look at the way how we can call this particular, can we call this particular function from global and scope API? Definitely we can call it out because it's a global scope API. So how we can do that? Okay, so I will just let me try to. So what are the syntax? Okay, so this is a syntax. Okay, if we are trying it from the global scope, okay, we have to just do new glide query the way we used to do glide record. Okay, instead of we have to write glide query, and if we are from glide scope, sorry, from scope API, we have to do global dot glide record because it's global scope APIs. Perfect. It's pretty similar to the what we see on the glide record. Now, what is the structure of it? Okay, we'll cover in depth. I really like this thing up. So, what is the, if we talk about the mental model? Okay, what is the mental model? Okay, when we write any glide query record. Okay, so the mental model is pretty simple. Think of uh, glide record in 4 steps. Okay, first you have to choose a table, then you filter a record, then choose what fields to return. You have the liberty, okay, that you want only 5 fields out of 100 fields, you can do that, and then do something with the result. So if I take an example, let's try to understand here is the example. So if I paste this example out, okay, this is the common syntax for glide query. Okay, so first what we are doing, we are just choosing a table. Okay, I want to query on the incident table. Okay, then which records I want to target. Okay, it's active equal to true. I'm filtering the data. Then what fields I want to return. Okay, so I just want number out of it, and then what exactly I want to do on the number. It's like I'm just doing for each and just printing out the numbers out there. If I try to execute it out, let me do that. Okay, it will give numbers. Perfect. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward in 4 steps. Okay, so we will try to. It will not be a structure kind of tutorial. I will try to dump all my knowledge, okay, which I have created, and try to explain you out glide record query in the most suitable way. Okay, so first and foremost thing, whenever we start talking about glide record, the first and foremost thing is like reading records, right? Reading multiple records. So for that, in in glide query, we use a select function. Okay, select function with a where clause. Okay, so for example, the most common operation is reading from a list. Okay, so let's take an example. Look at this code. Okay, just look at this code. I'm not typing everything out because then it will be around 3 hours of video. Okay, I don't want to do that. So let's look at this video. What we want to do, we want to read all the priority one task. Okay, and show short description and open that. Okay, so the general syntax is, again we will follow the same chain. Okay, same mental model. Okay, so first is new query, the task table. Okay, we have put the query where priority is 1. Okay, where, okay, you have to use dot and where priority is 1. We have to select only 2 fields. In select you can pass which fields you want. Okay, we want short description and open it, and then we are using for each on this task and just giving an info like task short description is this, and it was opened at this particular thing. Clear? So things to notice. Okay, there's no while loop. We use dot for each instead. Okay, The task is a plain JavaScript object. If I run this out, okay, so it's like task, reset my password and open it, blah blah blah. It's giving the same thing. So task is a plain JavaScript object, not a glide record. Okay, the CSID is always included if you ask or don't ask. Okay, so you don't have to explicitly ask for CSID. It will be a part of the object when it gets written. Okay, and only the field you specify is getting selected. Isn't it amazing? Okay, you don't have to just do dot work again to get the data. Okay, you can simply ask upfront what all data you want. Clear? So it uses stream. Okay, stream, stream. Okay, stream. Okay, so what is stream? So when we do the select query, right, over here, it returns a stream object. Okay, think of it as a lazy array. Okay, so records are fetched one at a time. Okay, as needed. Okay, so you never load thousands of record into memory at once. Isn't that amazing? Let's look at one other example, because people will be asking, hey, you told sysid comes as default, right? Prove us. Everyone wants proof. So let's take one more example. Okay, example also similar. Like I've selected, I'm doing a query on sysuser table. I am not asking any field out. Okay, select no fields. Again doing for each, and I'm just trying to print sysid. I'm not given sysid over here. Okay, let's see if we are able to get the sysids or not. I run the code, sysid. Perfect. I proved it that you don't have to explicitly ask for sysid. Sysid comes by default. Now let's try to do again with multiple fields. Okay, let's try to reiterate. See, if I want to call for multiple fields, you can give n number of fields. So look at this example. Here I'm glide querying incident where active is true, and what I want as a return is number, short description, priority, and state. And after using for each, I'm just printing all those things out. You just keep in mind how easy it is. Okay, how simplified syntax is, and I'm not explaining each line because it's pretty readable. Okay, that's one of the USP for using a glide query API. So if I run this out, perfect, we got incident on number, then followed by short description, priority. Okay, we got what we want. Now what if we want to have only single record? Okay, so what we used to do over there is to set the limit. Okay, or we just used to do get, but get is a different thing. But if you want only first record, when you only need one record, we have to use select one method. Okay, it returns an what we can say, the first encounter record it returns. So how exactly it looks, how exactly the code looks. Let's look at this. So if I paste this out, find the user with the last name Ludi. Okay, so I'm talking about Freddy Ludi. Okay, so again, GlideQuery says user where last name is equal to Freddy. Okay, I'm using select one, and I want these two attributes, first name and email. And I'm using if present function also. We will look into that in some time. These are some of the optional functions, okay, which comes with select one. So, but on a higher end, what exactly if present do? Okay, if present will execute the code only if the record present. If it's not present, it will not return anything. Okay, I will prove that out also. So if I run this code out, hey, we got found, and it for GlideQuery follows nice syntax. Okay, nice error also. I will show you that also in some time. So you can see Fred, we got first name, and email is Freddy Ludi. But if I change it out to Ludi to Moody, okay, now probably this user is not existing. It will not return anything. This is the core functionality of if present. Perfect. So optional object written by select one has several methods. Okay, think of optional as a gift box. It might have something inside or it might be empty. This method help you to handle both the cases gracefully. So we'll look into that. Each and every optional method which comes with select one. Okay. Um, in details. So first is if present. I'll just explain you out, but let me do it one more time. So let's take one more example. So again, Freddy Luddy. I, uh, I, so if I want to do just hello Freddy, okay, for the first name, okay, I'm just taking the first name. If I run, it will return Freddy. If I've already shown you, right? If I just remove it out, that JJJ, last name is JJJ, there is no person with JJ, nothing will get returned. So the first option method. Second is or else. Okay. So which provides a default if not found. So here, if not found, it's completely empty. Okay. But if you have a scenario that if not found, you want some defaulted value out there. So how you can do that? So for that, we will be using function if or else. So here what I'm doing, GlideQuery sys user table where last name is non-existing person. Okay, the person who doesn't exist. Okay, and I'm doing select one query. Okay, well, and I want first name and email on this thing. If I don't find anything, okay, then it should give me else one that okay, he seems to be a guest user with a no reply at example.com. Perfect. So if I run this out, see its default value. Okay, if not this, return the default. Perfect, right? Very interesting. You will be using it out all the time. So uh this is the or else method. Then we have another method called get. Okay, so what get does in glide query is like get the record or it throws an error. Get the record or throws an error. Okay, so let's try with an example. It will be really fun to try these things with an example. So yo, what I'm doing, glide query sys user, last name is Ludi, first we want first name and we just do select. Okay, and we want first name to be written. So if I run this out in a good happy scenarios, we got Fred. But if I screwed it off, okay, if I make it moody with get, I'm using get over here. Okay, get, and if I run this out, this is the best thing I feel GlideQuery has, which is nice error. It gives error in such a nice format, okay, in such a readable format that you will just with the clips you will come to know okay, where exactly it's get messed up. This is very bad with GlideRecord. Okay, so it gives nice error. Okay, get called an empty optional. Okay, unable to find record with the query TTD. So with this query, it was not able to find the record. The value is moody. Perfect. So this is with respect to get. Um, Now you must be thinking we have seen two function get and or else. Okay, so when to use get and when to use or else, right? So use get when the record must exist. Example, looking up for config record. Your app depends on, and use or else when the record might not exist and you have a sensible default value. Okay, for it, so you can do that. Now, if we just let's take a step back. I just missed one thing out. So, okay, or I will cover as a part of next year. So let's move to the next one. The next function is present. Okay, so it returns true if the record exists. Okay, um, so let's try to understand it with the example. So if I again, I'm fond of Ludi today. So user exists, query sys user table where last name equal to Ludi. Select one, first name is present. Now it returns boolean. Okay, true or false. Okay, if a user exists, it will return true, else it will return false. So if I run this out, perfect, it returns true. If I mess this up, let me do it moody. Okay, and I run this again, it returns false. Pretty straightforward. The next function is empty, so it returns true if the record does not exist. Okay, so if I go here, glide query says user last number is non-existing person, it doesn't exist, select one and is empty. So it will, if I run this out, no user found, true. Okay, it's empty. This is the optional function for select one, which comes with the select one. Now what next? When we do glide record, okay, we are pretty fond of get. Okay, similar fashion, we have get method with glide query also. So the get methods on glide query, it's not optional. It fetches a single record by its sysID, and uh, okay. So if I copy this code out, but this get is more better than the record query or get. So here I'm doing glide record query uses user get. I've passed the sysID, but with the sysID you can pass what all attributes you want as a return. So I want, if it exists, I want first name, last name, email ID. Perfect. If it's not, we know unknown. Last name is user, unknown explain. I hope you understood the code till now. Okay. So if I run, this sysID is of ability to. So we got the response like, okay, first name is able, last name is tutor, okay, and email ID. And as we are searching with the sysID, whatever you use as a search query, it will by default come as output. Okay. So sysID is here. If I mess it up, if I do it too over here, run, it will give the defaulted value, which is come from or else, which we have seen before. So what is the syntax of get is like sysID, and then you can follow with the array of fields, which fields you want in return. The next function is fetching by fields. So we'll be using get by function. So get by finds a single record matching a set of fields value pair. Okay. Even if multiple record match, it only returns the first one. Clear? So let's try to understand it with an example. So glide query says user get by. Now you can see over here, I'm just passing a JSON as a first argument. Get my first name is Fred and the last name is Ludi. You can add, and so this is a search criteria. And what we want in output as a city, active, and email. This three field we want, and else part is already there. So if I run this out, so you can see we got Freddy Ludi. Okay, because as I told earlier, whatever you pass as an input argument, okay, for your script, it will come as a part of output because it have it on this um on upfront, right? So it takes that. So Freddy Ludi, city is null, active is true, email ID is this, and sysID is this. SysID is coming by default. So this is with Freddy Ludi. And keep this in mind, okay? The field used in the search criteria like first name, last name are automatically included in the result, even if you don't list them in the second argument. Okay, I have not added first name, last name over here till it came. Now the next function, the most important, crucial we can say, it's insert. Okay, so insert creates a new record. Okay, so we don't have to do field mapping like we used to set value this. Okay, we instead of that we pass a JavaScript object where key and fields names and values are the field values. Key are the field names, value are the field values. Okay, and it is an optional with the newly created record. So let's try to understand with code. You will understand in better way. So plop glide query task. Okay, new task, glide query, insert. Look at this, how beautiful it is. So it's a JSON. Okay, in JSON, I want to create a task record. Let's not do it task. Let's do it incident. Why to go to task? Incident with a priority 2. Short description is this. Description, new hire starting Monday, new need access request. Okay, and get. So I will just run this out, and it inserted a record. Insert on the incident table. You don't believe me? Let's see it in that. Okay, and I will just do duplicate because I don't want to come back to this thing again and again. So if I do with updated created, so you can see one record got created this at this one with a short description which we asked for. Isn't it perfect? Okay, I will go back to background script, full screen. So this is how you do the insert. Let's look at the code once again. So you have to do GlideQuery dot insert, just pass the JSON object. This is very important if you try to understand. Okay, if you think deep, when you are doing integration, right? We most of the time we get the response in the JSON format. Okay, then you manipulate that JSON to do set values and all those things. Now you can simply pass that JSON as is and create a record. How amazing it is, right? So this is insert, and the next thing is what? Okay, a lot of time what happens, you insert the record, okay, but few things get auto-populated by business rule, like number, name. Okay, so you can request them back as a part of insert itself. So for that, just look at this code. So for an instance, it's sysuser Jane Doe. Okay, this is this example, and name and username, it get created by default, right? Okay, now it's not by default, it auto populated fields. Okay, so you can request them back as soon as it got created, what exactly got created. So I'm just passing first name, last name, email, and active. When the record get created, these two fields, we are not setting it up over here. It will get generated based on the information which you have provided, and we are just trying to retrieve this information as a part of insert only. So if I run this out, you can see one record inserted, and we have sys ID of the newly inserted record. Jane Doe is the first name, last name, okay, name, and username is null because it didn't set. Okay, if I ask for number, number is not there, right? Okay, oh yeah, so yeah, this is what you can do as a part of insert. Okay, so whatever auto populated fields are there, you can retrieve it back. For example, let's consider on incident task table the number. Okay, you can retrieve those number back. Now, as spoke about number, right? Okay, if I do over here, okay, that if I do number over here, number is not a field on the table itself, right? It's user. If I run, it will give me nice error. Okay, unknown field number in the table, and it also gives me the list of fields. Okay, what are there on the table? Okay, so that I can get it reference. Let's take one more example on this particular front. Okay, how it fails fast and how the nice error works. So for instance, I am doing GlideQuery on task table and insert name. Now on the task table there is no name equal to power outage, right? If I run this query out, it gives me nice error that field name is not there on the timetable and task table, and gives the list of all the fields, array of all the fields. Okay, that these are the fields. Check your code and do the needed work. Isn't it amazing? With this, everyone will start using GlideQuery, I hope. Now let's look at other thing. So the next function what I want to look into is update. So updates one record. Okay, it requires a where clause using a primary key. Okay, basically sysID, and it is an optional with the updated record. So if I do this, updated user, new GlideQuery sys user. I've already deleted this user out. Okay, so let me change the sysID. So user, okay, and let's there are two Jendo, right? One we just got created, so let's delete one. Or let's delete this one, Jen Kaja. Okay, and I will just give the sysID for this particular person. Okay, um, and I want to update with this particular email ID, active equal to true, active equal to true, and in return I just want name as a return. This is an update. Okay, update to sys user where sys ID is this, update email to this particular email ID, active to true. Let me do it active false also, then make it false. Okay, active to true, and I just want name as output. If I run, it updated sys user, and it given the output as sys ID, email ID, active, and the name was Jane Kuja. Okay, so if I go over here and if I do show, let me do show matching, it's set to true with this email ID. So this is with respect to updating a record. One important note over here, that update requires the where clause to use primary key. If a business rule aborts the update, okay, GlideQuery throws a nice error like, hey, this GlideQuery, uh, oh, unlike GlideRecord, which runs in silent. Okay, so it also gives key, okay, this business rule is aborting that thing out. It's amazing, right? Now the next thing what we want to look is sorry, update multiples. So update multiple, as name suggests, it updates all the records matching your where clause, and it returns object with the row count, means how many rows got updated. So let's look at this code. So here we want to deactivate the user. Okay, we want to sys user active equal to true. Okay, last name is Pascal. Okay, and we want to update it to false. Perfect. And as a return, it will not return the object like update. It will return the row count as how many rows got updated. So let me see if there are any record with this. We want last name, right? Only one record. Okay, it's already active false. Let me do it, or let me do some other with do. Let's do with do. Okay, I think do with do. We have multiple records, two records. Both are true. Okay, perfect. I will go with the last name do, and I will replace like. So you can use all the operators over here. Okay, it's not um only the like operator. I will tell you what all operators you can use. Okay, so if I run this query, it says it updated two record. In the script, row updated, row count 2. This is the output we got. If we go back and refresh, you must be thinking from where this code is coming from. Okay, so I'm working on one article. Okay, probably I will share this article once both the tutorials are completed. So over there you can see all the code snippets what I'm using right now. So you can see both are false. Perfect. And operators, you can use this many operators. Okay. What all operators you can use is like, not equal to, greater than, less than, whatever operators are present, you can use this. Oh yeah. The next function is my personal favorite. Okay, people will like it. It's insert or update. Yeah, definitely it's insert or update. So insert or update is an insert operation. It inserts a new record if the record doesn't exist. If the record exists, it update it. Okay. So it uses the field you provide to find an existing record. If they find the record, it will update that record. If it's not able to find that record, it will create a new one. So let's try to do it. So there's a code for it. So query. So I'm giving this particular Jane Doe company, first name is Jane's, last name is Doe, active is true. I don't think we'll have anything with true. Okay. Let me do one for record. Active is true. Active is true. City is Seattle. Okay. So this is what we are passing. And let's see what happens. Primary device created John Doe. I think it didn't match some of the thing. Okay, probably company or what. Let me see the company. It's company only, right? Company is empty only. That's the reason. Okay. So it created one more record. Let's now give this false record. I will give the company. I'll not see it till then. What? Let's give 3com. So it's a false record. On the false record, I've given 3com. And let's try to. So the for the we have covered the insert first. Okay, the filter was not matching, so it created a new record. Okay, now if I do this thing out 3com, and if I run it again, insert it. Primary email device created for Jane. Oh, I think email itself is not matching. Let me try with some other email. Let's consider which one? This one. So let's see. With this, we are just updating the filter criteria because it finds with the email, right? The first entity, right? It didn't get captured. Show matching. And I will. Okay. Run. Ah. Oh. For Jane Doe. Okay. Okay. It's already created. I think we are trying to replicate it out. So basically, yeah, there is some data mismatch. Okay, because a lot of operations have the same email ID, primary email ID. That's the reason. But it will update. Okay, if the filter query matches with the same. I think with this email ID, a lot of records are there. So this is insert or update. Now what next? Deleting record. Yeah, deleting record. So GlideQuery has delete multiple. Okay, there is no single record delete method. Okay, to delete one record, you can use delete multiple with the sysID. So let's look at the delete record. Okay, so there's a function sys user, and let me give. I want to delete this. Some go for with this record. Okay, so let's delete this record. Let's delete single record. I'm deleting a single record. Sys user. Sys ID is this, and delete multiple. This is a function delete multiple. If I run this code out, it has deleted. I think it had deleted. It is a nested delete. Okay, so if I sorry, yeah, if I do this, the record is gone. So it deleted the record. Now, what if we want to do delete multiples? Okay, let's take a scenario for that also. So for delete multiple, I will just go back. Now I've given sys user act equal to false, last name equal to test user. Not sure if we have some any record with this. Let's see. So it was last name, right? Last name equal to test user. Let's not do this. Let's last name equal to toy. We can go with, because this is creating a mess. A lot of, you can see with the same email ID, a lot of users are there. So last name equal to the, it's toy only, right? Okay, and we run. So it states that it has cleaned up. Let's see. What happened? Oh, it's looking for active false, right? My bad. So let's make two active false. This one I will make it false, and this one I will make it false. Okay, now two out of four are false and two are true. Now if I run this query, it deleted two records. If I go back, now we have only true records. Okay, act equal to true record. So this is with respect to deleting multiple records. Okay, always double check your where clause before running delete multiple. Okay, because GlideQuery field validation protects you from typos. Okay, but logic errors are still your responsibility. So you should always check it out. The next function is disable business rule. Okay, so the way we have set workflow false. Okay, we have disable workflow function in the system. So sometimes you need to bypass business rule. Okay, example, during data migration or bulk operation, we can use disable workflow function. So how the code look like for it is, if I go over here and here, what I'm doing, sys user, last name is equal to migration test. I again have to do I don't think last name. Let's check. I've just no. So we can do again with this only, last name equal to doy, and we want to make it active false. Okay, I think it's active true. Yeah, active true. So we have used disable workflow. Okay, so it will disable the workflow. You can see update sys user to script migration update complete. Okay, business rule skipped. So it will skip all the business rule when doing this operation. You have to use this with caution, okay? Because disabling workflow means business rules notification and workflow won't fire. Only use when you intentionally want to bypass them. Example, data migration or bug fix, as I mentioned earlier. Now the next function is order by. Again, used like anything, okay? Or pretty frequently used function. So if you want to do order by ascending, for example, I'm doing on incident, active incidents, where order by priority, okay? And I wanted an ascending order. So if I run this out, I can see first I'm getting P1, 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 then P2, then P3, then P4, then P5. Perfect. So this is how the order by ascending works. if someone wants to do order by descending, let's take one more example around the same. So it's again incident true, and I want to do it with is created by, but it's ordered by descending. So if I do this and I have set limit 5, okay, so this is the order of creation. I can, if you want to see, so I can add the select one, and I can add the is created on field also. Oh, I am not printing it out. That's the reason. I was worried what exactly happened. So this, and I can do incident dot this is created on, and if I run, I can see. So you can see it's into descending order. Now if you want to limit how many, restrict the number of results, okay, so there is a function called the way we have set limit. Here we have just limit. So for an instance, we want to query incident active true, priority is 1, and we just want 3 record to be retrieved, okay, with number and priority. So you can use the limit function, and it will return only 3 records. Again, pretty straightforward. And the last function for this tutorial, it's pretty long, okay. We have covered around 17-18 functions, okay. So the last function which we want to cover is null checks. Very important again, okay. So when we talk about null check, there are two functions out there, where null and where null not. So where null is like where you want to check the null, if certain field is null, and where null is not empty kind of thing, okay. So let's look at the where null example. So let's look at this. So find all incident with no assigned user, okay. So basically we are doing incident query where active is true, where null is assigned to is null. For this query we want only those records, okay, and we want to print number and short description for this. So if I run this, all these records are there where there is no assigned to. Let me take some random example, okay. This 8112, I'll just go here, I'll just open the incident table, and we will see if it's assigned to or not. So see, assigned to is empty for this particular incident. It's true for all other incidents also. So this is where null function, this where null. And the last function for today is where not null, just opposite of it, okay. It's a counterpart. So sorry, so this is the table where company is not null, that means company is present, okay, and we want to get the name and the company, okay. So if I run, for all these user, company is present, and you can see company sys id we are asking for, okay. So company id is the reference field, that's why it gives sys id. So let's try for one of the user, okay. For example, this user, if I want to check, I'll just go here and do sys score user with name is this, and you can see it has company present. Perfect, right? So this is all for today's tutorial. I have to create one more tutorial around GlideQuery because it's a vast topic, okay. In the next tutorial we'll try to look into some advanced functions on the GlideQuery, but till then, um please subscribe and like my channel if you like this content, okay. And if you are looking for some more content on any front, okay, just drop it in the comment. Probably I will try to create content around the same. And keep learning, okay, and stay happy. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.